usano le loro
25,
capacità per
Point
destabilizzare i
Break.
mercati finanziari.
Perhaps the most philosophical surfing
E se ne
heist
fregano
movie
di chi ci
ever
rimette la
made.
pelle.
Point Break sees Patrick Swayze as Body, leader of the bank
chiamano
robbing
Body.
ex-presidents, and Keanu Reeves as undercover FBI agent Johnny Utah. What follows is a roller coaster ride as the pair surf and skydive while playing the ultimate game of cat and mouse
qualche
with
miliardo
plenty
di
of
dollari in
foot
oro,
chases and gunfights along the way. Number 24, Where Eagles Dare. If you're going to choose a war film to list amongst the greatest action films of all time, what would it be? You could certainly make an argument for the unparalleled realism of something like Saving Private Ryan just as easily as you could the Lee Marvin-fueled manliness of a classic like The Dirty Dozen. One movie that's impossible to go past, however, is the Richard Burton, Clint Eastwood all-time classic Where Eagles Dare. Number 23, The Avengers. When it comes to lists like these, comic book movies are generally segregated. But why is that? Some of the comic book films of the past 2 decades stand shoulder to shoulder with the greatest action movies ever made. It's a difficult thing to narrow down, choosing a comic book film to wedge amongst the best action movies of all time, because there are plenty of worthy candidates. Number 22, Top Gun. Turn up the Kenny Loggins and practice your best Iceman tooth chomp. Top Gun ushered in a new type of mold for action movies, one producer Jerry Bruckheimer would use to forge many other hits throughout the 80s and 90s. The spectacular training and combat sequences aren't anything like real air operations, but for a generation weaned on the attack on the Death Star, it's what's expected. Number 21, Casino Royale. Perhaps the most cerebral of all 007's adventures. Daniel Craig played James Bond as thuggish on the outside, but emotionally damaged and vulnerable underneath, in the process adding a layer of depth previously unseen in Bond's outings. An absence of ice palaces and invisible cars also helped. Of course, Craig's 007 is a finely tuned machine who is absolutely believable as someone who could clear a room, and as a cold, hardened man who has buried his heart as far away from harm as possible. Number 20, The Raid, Redemption. The leanest, meanest action movie of the last couple of years comes to us from Indonesia. The Raid's incredible action sequences don't just stun you, they kick your teeth in. The story is simple. When a SWAT team of 20 elite cops becomes trapped inside a building full of killers with no backup, they must fight or die. Number 19, Kill Bill Volume 1. The premise is simple. Following an assassination attempt at her wedding, the bride, Uma Thurman, awakens 5 years later to exact revenge on her enemies. The execution, meanwhile, is impossibly complex, ultimately requiring 2 films to tell her story. The bride travels from one exotic locale to another, wreaking havoc and getting, as she puts it, bloody satisfaction. Number 18, Face Off. On the surface, Face Off may seem like a typical all-brawn, no-brains action romp that only seeks to showcase director John Woo's well-known, stylish, almost operatic gun battles. Look deeper and one would find a well-crafted story of loss, revenge and redemption that is full of human drama. Forget for a moment Woo's signature double-wielding protagonist or the iconic images of pure white doves fluttering amidst the bloody carnage. Number 17, The Rock. Michael Bay's second theatrical film and also second collaboration with Jerry Bruckheimer is about as close to perfect as one of these military action movies can get. Starring Nicolas Cage in his first foray into muscular action films and Sean Connery in his most badass and potty-mouthed role ever, Winners Go Home and FK the Prom Queen, the film just exudes pure testosterone. Need proof? Sean Connery rampages through the streets of San Francisco in a Hummer. Number 16, First Blood. Like Sylvester Stallone's other macho action series Rocky, the reputation of the first Rambo movie is unfairly tarnished by its dumb sequels. John Rambo's first outing was a psychologically sophisticated and rather harrowing account of a disturbed Vietnam veteran on the run from an overzealous sheriff. Number 15, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Since this is an Ang Lee film, every character carries an angsty longing. While their bodies can fly weightlessly through the air, their souls are weighed down by repressed love and dark secrets. This is the action movie your mom likes. It has a deep and moving love story and fight scenes that boggle the mind. Number 14, Speed. Before Jan de Bont completely destroyed the cinematic goodwill cultivated by his work as a DP with his directorial efforts Speed 2 and The Haunting, he reduced action movie making to its most febrile essence and created Speed, a thrill ride that is so unrelenting that audiences are still catching their breath almost 20 years after its release. Number 13, Predator. The 1980s were full of bigger and louder everything. The action movies produced from this era are testosterone-fueled, explosion-packed toads to excess, but Predator for some reason stands out from the pack. Oh, so many gems here. Arm wrestling handshakes. Painless mowing down some jungle, the worst murder involving plants ever documented on film. Predator's plasma cannon versus number 12, True Lies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's action star had begun to fade slightly until James Cameron's action comedy True Lies reinvigorated it. The future Governor portrays a secret agent whose own wife does not realize the kind of life her husband leads. Featuring excellent comic turns by Tom Arnold, Bill Paxton, and Jamie Lee Curtis, True Lies is a great mix of gags and unbelievable action. Number 11, Hard-Boiled. Shyamalan plays Inspector Peculiar Yuen, who turns gunplay into a form of ballet, with everyday objects exploding in hair and bullets as he single-handedly takes down a criminal empire. While it may seem old hat to have a hero, firing away with two guns or coolly sliding down a banister to blow someone away. In 1992 John Woo was literally writing that stylistic playbook. Number 10, Enter the Dragon. Before the gravity-defying stunts of Tony Jay, the crane-supported acrobatics of Jet Li and the bone-breaking feats of The Impossible by Jackie Chan, there was Bruce Lee. The last movie Lee completed before his death, Enter the Dragon, marked the martial arts master's entrance into big-budget Hollywood films. Number 9, The Bourne Ultimatum. Jason Bourne indeed comes home in The Bourne Ultimatum. The Paul Greengrass-directed sequel is a slam-bang conclusion to one of the most unique and adult-touching franchises ever produced by a major
you've ever
studio.
tracked.
Ultimatum is the most
really good at staying alive
and
trying to kill him and failing.
The action scenes are breathtaking
Just pisses
and
him
they
off.
include some of the best foot and car chases ever filmed. Number 8, RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1. Easily Paul Verhoeven's best work, this gritty, hard-edged tale of police corruption and criminal brutality stands as one of the most violent mainstream films ever released. The story follows a fallen cop who is converted into a cyborg enforcer known as RoboCop. Brilliantly and coldly portrayed by the underrated Peter Weller, RoboCop is an automated killing force in the mold of the Terminator, stumbling onto stoic but funny one-liners. Number 7, Lethal Weapon. Directed by Richard Donner and written by Shane Black, 1987's Lethal Weapon pretty much defines the buddy cop genre. More violent and edgy than any of its sequels, Lethal Weapon stars Mel Gibson as suicidal, crazy cop Martin Riggs, who gets paired up with veteran detective and family man Roger Murtaugh, Danny Glover. With some awesome action sequences, including a desert hostage standoff, a foot chase down the freeway, and a climactic hand-to-hand brawl. Great performances, including Gary Busey as the evil Mr. Joshua. Number 6, The Matrix.
Bring me the
What's
eyes
he
of the
doing?
uncle.
He is beginning to
And I would
believe.
give
Neo
you back
decides
your
to square up
savior.
to humanity's oppressors, opting to duel the
Mister.
dastardly Agent Smith rather than run. The two mega-powered avatars locking horns in bullet time created an instant pop culture touching point, as kung fu fetishists the Wachowskis introduce a whole new generation to the old school with the help of legendary wire work choreographer Yuan Wu Ping and a revolutionary camera system. Number 5, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. James Cameron's 1991 sequel to the 1984 movie that made Arnold Schwarzenegger a worldwide star, Terminator 2, Judgment Day packs in non-stop action, state-of-the-art special effects that still manage to look impressive today, and a great villain, the seemingly unstoppable T-1000, played by Robert Patrick. Number 4, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Mel Gibson reprises his role as Mad Max, essentially Shane with a V8 Interceptor and a sawed-off shotgun. The film is a non-stop action fest from beginning to end, and the climactic chase features some of the most amazing driving and stunt work ever captured on film. But the creme de la creme of the entire series' highway spectacles comes during the final 15 minutes of this film, when a beaten and badly injured Max with nothing left to lose, they even killed his dog. Number 3, Aliens. Stepping into a film series that didn't yet know it was a franchise, James Cameron revived the terror of Ridley Scott's 1979 classic Alien 7 years later and transformed the contained thriller into an expansive, take-no-prisoners pulse pounder. Sigourney Weaver netted an Oscar nom reprising her role of Ellen Ripley, the first of many action heroines, and holds together the film's ensemble cast, which includes Michael Biehn, Bill Paxton, Paul Reiser, and Lance Henriksen. Number 2, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Steven Spielberg partnered with George Lucas to create what would eventually become one of his most enduring films and career franchises, the Indiana Jones trilogy, launched in 1981 with this unforgettable action classic. Inspired by 30s movie serials and James Bond flicks, this adventure opens with one of cinema's most unforgettable sequences, Indy's nimble victory over a booby-trapped temple, and never stops until the bad guys have, literally, melted away and the hero gets the girl. Number 1, Die Hard. This 1988 classic redefined both the action movie and the action star, creating the formula terrorists take over Blake, and a lone hero must go up against them.
What does he think he's doing?
They have already killed one hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.